When it comes to animation made towards kids, Disney was never part of my childhood. At first, ever since my brain started working and memories began to emerge, which is basically when I was 5 or 6 year old in the late 80s. There were 5 major things in my life at the time: Gundam, Gonagai, Kitaro, kaiju movies and TV shows, and a lot of random classic robot anime. So I never cared for Disney animation. But came 1992 when Aladdin was released. My entire family arranged a family night to see it in the theater and I refused to go. I was so against it for some reason. Yeah, my 10-year-old self was such a douchebag. So my dad decided to stay home with me while the rest of my family went to see Aladdin. And what did my dad do? He showed me the Legend of Syrius on Laserdisc and told me that if I love it, then I will like a lot of Disney animations. And he convinced me to watch it by literally just telling me the main character is voiced by Amuro in this anime. He knew my weakness, and the fact that the main character also has red hair, that was a cool thing to me. I miss my simple mind. So after watching it, my dad was right. I loved it, and then he simply said, "Then you'll love Disney." The very next day I went to see Aladdin with my dad and I fell in love with Disney. I spent almost an entire year watching every famous Disney animated movie. It was so ironic that my gateway to Western style animation was an anime. Man, I wish I still had my dad's Laserdisc. Sadly, it got lost over the years, I don't know how. The art on it was gorgeous. It reflected the sweetness and the innocence of the anime. Unfortunately, the Blu-ray cover is just a generic one. I miss those artsy covers that were used back then, especially for the Laserdiscs. The good thing is that this Blu-ray does this anime justice. The transfer is fantastic. The Legend of Syrius, also known as the Sea Prince and the Fire Child, which I prefer this title by the way, because the original title gives the impression that it's only a Syrius story, which is not true. It's basically the story of the Sea Prince and the Fire Child. It was released in 1981 and it was directed and written by Masami Hata, who also directed Ringen Bell, Fair Florence, and the Mario animated film. This anime is a Japanese, New Zealand, Australian anime, holy shit that's a lot of countries, and it was made by the classic studio Sanrio. This Japanese studio is known for making joint productions with other countries. They made tons of classics, but most notably for me, it's the lovely Osamu Tezuka's Unico. The story takes place in a fantasy world where it was created by fire and water. They were an inseparable brother and sister. They were one and they loved each other. But one day, the wind demon Argon started to get jealous of their love and started to spread rumors about them. This eventually led to their separation and war began against the two. The war resulted in complete separation. Fire, who was Queen Themis, took over the land, and Water, who was King Glaucus, took over the sea, each running their own kingdom without crossing lines ever again. A lot of time has passed and we have the main characters, the Sea Prince Sirius and the Fire Princess Malta. Both are the heirs of Glaucus and Themis' kingdoms, and in a strong twist of fate, they fell in love with each other, and throughout the story, they faced many consequences and sacrifices because of that love. So yes, this story is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet in a form of a fantasy, and it fits so perfectly. The romantic tragedy element of Romeo and Juliet is in full gear, and the themes of different cultures collide while the older generation act like a wall to stop a pure young love is all present here. The main characters Sirius and Malta are victims of their world that is filled with hate, and I loved how the story tells us that fire and water were once one throughout many metaphors. For example, when Malta was watching over the sacred fire and says how beautiful the fire is when it is reflected on the water, this tells us how fire and water, when put together, can make something very special and beautiful. The story also demonstrates the importance of the sea world and the fire world, which is land. Like they display how the two worlds are so beautiful, yet Themis and Glaucus tells their followers how evil and ugly the other world is. But when Sirius and Malta meet for the first time, they are shocked and realize how their kingdoms are blinded with hate for many years and that they only hear about one another but never talk or see one another. and thus this separation becomes bigger and bigger, and it is the cause of everything in the story. It all started with rumors by Argon, and that a lack of trust and misunderstanding can lead to chaos. So the message of the story is what you expect, that love never fades even in the face of tragedy and obstacles, and god damn it is handled well here. The two main characters, the Sea Prince Sirius and the Fire Princess Malta, are different in many ways. Sirius is careless, doing what he wants to do, going to places he shouldn't be going to, which accidentally led him to meet Malta and the Sacred Fire. And Malta is responsible, cautious, she follows her duty to watch over the Sacred Fire, and because of that, she met Sirius when he reached the Sacred Fire by mistake. So Sirius's careless attitude and Malta's sense of duty led them to each other, and I love that. Their opposite personality is what made them meet in the first place. The Fire Queen Themis and the Sea King Glaucus do not appear a lot, but every time they are shown is always an important scene. They have this presence about them that is very magical, and the feeling that they are gods is portrayed very well. Oh my, what can I say about the art in this movie? It's beautiful, every scene is beautiful, the sea is amazing, the land looks spectacular, the colors, the entire world has that expansive scale to it which makes everything look so enchanting. Also, there is a lot of emphasis on the setting which complements the plot and its message. And the character designs are so perfect and on point. The main characters look so adorable, especially Malta, and the gods, Themis and Glaucus, are huge and full of life. And the end credits is 3 minutes of elegance. It shows a series of gorgeous paintings that summarizes the entire story. This anime looks wonderful overall, and it did not age for me at all. And the animation goes hand in hand with the art. It has that Disney style with very fluid animation, but at the same time, it has that Japanese touch to it. And the results are a perfect blend of Japanese animation with Western influences. The master that is Koichi Sugiyama did the soundtrack, the guy who is known for composing the Dragon Quest music. I mean, is there a more fitting person to compose any anime? Oh, and he did the soundtrack along with the NHK Symphony Orchestra. The music blends perfectly with the fantasy, especially the pieces that were used during the emotional scenes. Literally every track in this anime is well made, and the insert songs do not seem to be out of place at all. They come naturally with the orchestra. This anime is very special to me. It reminds me why my dad was such an awesome guy. It opened my eyes for Disney animation and discovered Shakespeare that led me to fall in love with literature and reading. And eventually I majored in literature when I went to college. All that because of my father and this anime. The story, the characters, the art, the animation, the music all feel so heartwarming and sublime.